Ladies and gentlemen, it has been a year and a half, but today is the day that we start building my new computer. And I know that that might sound a little bit confusing, bear in mind I build a computer pretty much twice a week at this stage, but none of them are actually for me. This is my personal rig. This is what actually renders all of these videos. It's starting to show its age a little bit, and I think that I want something that's just a little bit better. Lexar's Hades Memory is here to brighten up your gaming PC. Available in super fast speeds and multiple kit sizes, Lexar's Hades gives you the performance that your PC desires, all whilst looking absolutely stunning in the process. Overclocking is simple thanks to XMP 2.0 support, and RGB lighting made easy with Lexar's RGB sync software, as well as motherboard control with all of the leading brands. Learn more today with that link down below. I'm still very much halfway through the whole part selection stage. This is always the most fun bit in my opinion. I know roughly what I want to use. The platform we are going to be using Intel 12th Gen, mainly because in terms of gaming, efficiency, rendering, it is pretty much the best of everything that I need. The system that I've got over there is absolutely fantastic, but it is definitely starting to get a little bit older now because they're actually still running on Skylake technology. This is an X299 board. When you can get similar performance from this, which is the 12900K, it all seems a little bit pointless, especially bearing in mind that this is a much better gaming chip than that one. I was actually getting stutter and things like Far Cry 5 as well, which was pretty annoying. Or is it Far Cry 6? What one are we on now? I don't even know. To tell you a secret at this stage, I've pretty much been doing all of my gaming downstairs on the TV. I've started playing Arkham Asylum. I'm going to work back onto Arkham City, but my multiplayer game of choice at the moment is actually Halo Infinite. This is going to sound like blasphemy from a PC gamer, but the aim assist is just so ridiculous in that game. I've actually been enjoying the multiplayer and the campaign on a big TV with a controller. I am genuinely very scared to admit that on camera. I do genuinely feel that there will be some people that will unsubscribe because I've said that. But make no mistake, mouse and keyboard obviously is a lot better. I want to get back to playing Apex and stuff up here. But to be honest with you, when you're getting a load of stutter in the latest games, it's just not really that appetizing. But anyway, enough rabbiting on. Let's walk you through the rest of the components. Hello.
Yes.
Yep. Some fake gin, that. It's better than like if you go to a pub or something and then you end up paying almost gin prices for a gin and tonic. I'd rather just have an orange juice. Is that some good insight into my life? That's what I order, fake gin, and have banter with the postman because I'm a cool guy. But anyway, for the third and hopefully final time, components that we're using. We're losing 2 cores as this is a 16-core chip rather than the 18 that is in that rig over there. But to be honest, I think this is going to have much better performance anyway. We will be doing a custom loop. We're going to be using Corsair Hydro X. This is their new XC7 RGB Pro. Let's be honest, it's pretty similar to what they had before, but it supports the brand new 1700 socket, so we'll definitely be using that. We will also be using an RTX 3080 or 3080 Ti. If this works with the 3080 Ti, then I will put this on the 3080 Ti that I've got on there. I'm not sure if I've actually showed you this on camera before, but the thing that's really neat about water cooling the Founders Edition cards is that the PCB is so small that you can quite literally put this little diddy thing in your system. You have an absolutely insane custom loop, but you don't have something that is ridiculously big. Oh yes, then comes my rather comical selection of SSDs, and this is going to seem absolutely nuts to most of you out there, I guarantee. We've got 2 FireCuda 530s that were left over from sponsored videos from Seagate. Absolute perks of the job, I know. These are PCIe Generation 4. One's got a heatsink, one actually does not. Both of those are 2 TB, and then we have our MP600 Pro that, to be honest, I don't really have any other use for other than putting it in a water-cooled loop, so it makes sense to put it in my own. Even though this is very much a fashionable thing, I don't think actually having a water-cooled SSD is really going to be worth it for everybody. Oh no, I'm going to be doing hardline, aren't I? And this was an absolute pain to install last time. And then last, but certainly not least, we have an 860 EVO 2 TB SSD from Samsung. And the big question is probably, what on earth do I need all of this storage for? 8 TB seems very excessive. Well, to be honest with you, it really doesn't, because this video alone that you're watching will be around about 600 gig worth of files. And what I'm finding at the moment is they just don't have space to store them. I've got a very large NAS, but then you can't work off of that because the files are too big and too heavy. So essentially I want to have a big archive collection of all of my footage. I want to be able to edit it and then store all of the files in one large SSD without having to constantly move them from the NAS back and forth. So that's the small yet very big stuff out of the way, but now let's talk about the case. And this is not the thing I'm going to be using, but I want to show you why. This is the Corsair 4000D, and the size of this is pretty epic because it's no bigger really than it needs to be, yet it can still accommodate all of the hardware that you need. So it's a great compromise really between having great airflow, fitting everything in, but just not being needlessly excessive. So I think I've decided I'm going to go for the slightly larger version of this, the 5000D, and actually build in that. Oh, and by the way, let me know, white or black? Maybe if I got white fluid, white case, that would look pretty good, wouldn't it? Ah, yes, something is brand new. Sorry to Corsair, but we're not using your fans this time. Instead, we have two other options, and again, still slightly undecided. Here we have the brand new light wings from Be Quiet, and Be Quiet I think makes some of the absolute best fans. So these are definitely a solid option, and because they have RGB, they're gonna look good. But then I also have Fantex's T30, and these are meant to be the absolute best fans you can buy right now. They do go insanely loud, but we won't be running them that fast. But then potentially the other option is to do a combination of using these and then having these on the outside. So you're gonna see these, but then these will do a lot of the performance. I don't know whether that's a good idea. Maybe that's silly. I haven't mixed fans really that much before. Let me know down in the comment section below if that's a good idea if you've done something similar before. Because these don't have RGB, which is boring. Power supply, absolutely no friggin' idea. I want to use custom cables and I don't have any yet, so I imagine I'll probably use something temporary in the meantime. Tubing wise, I'm more than happy to use your suggestions on this. Obviously we'll be air cooling it first and making sure everything works properly. This is clear, but I'm thinking maybe going for either an opaque or translucent would look pretty good, especially if we are going to go for like a white case and we go for like a white exterior and then white fluid. Obviously clear or frosted would look great, but there are loads of other options, so again, let me know what you want to see. Which then leaves us with the main big decision that I have not yet made. Option one is probably the safest bit because I've been using Asus motherboards in my personal rigs for years. My very first one was Gigabyte, but then ever since then it has been Asus. And I really like the design on this one because you've got this sort of like 8-bit effect, I guess. So it's looking a little bit like a video game. This actually lights up as well, but it's not quite as bright as you might expect. I think the board itself actually looks better in isolation than when it does in your rig. Not because it doesn't look good, but because it's just less obvious. 8 USB-A and 3 USB-C. Some of these have got Thunderbolt as well, so pretty high in there. And then in terms of PCIe slots, we've got 1, 2, and 3. So enough for all of the SSDs that we're going to be using. But for me, the party really gets started with this thing when you actually look in the box and you find your PCIe Generation 5 ready card for M.2 SSDs with even faster speeds, which leads us on to numero board 2, brilliant English there, the G690 Aorus Master. It's a lot heavier than the Asus. You can see it is ridiculously hefty, this thing actually. That is going to overclock. I can see that happening. But the thing for me that's really exciting about this motherboard is that it does actually have 10 gig networking built straight in. In terms of the USB ports, we have 9 ports this time, but then only 2 USB Type-C. Having said that though, I don't think this actually supports Thunderbolt. The Thunderbolt logo is not on this. Whoa! It is fair to say that there are more M.2 slots than I expected. Wow. I definitely should say that all of these motherboards are DDR5, but this one in particular is slightly interesting because it doesn't actually have PCIe Generation 5 on any of the other slots. It is just literally the first one. Whereas with the Asus board, you do at least get that Gen 5 on the bottom slot. But anyway, let's check out our final contender. And I'll tell you what I've observed about MSI boards all over the years. These tend to be the fastest booting out there. Obviously, this isn't going to be the case with every single motherboard, but it definitely is a trend that I've noted. Clearly, we've got more M.2s here as well, just like you do on the Gigabyte board. You've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's built quite similarly to the Asus motherboard, but I would say that this is probably the most, not boring, it's just the least flavored, I guess, out of the 3. There's not really anything that makes this stand out. It's just a black motherboard. In terms of I/O, this is pretty similar to the Asus Hero. Here we've got 8 USBs, but we don't have any Thunderbolts at all. And the USB-C that we do have is all by itself. So I would say this is definitely the weakest of the 3. So I don't think it's going to be that dramatic to tell you which one I am going to go with. We're going to be building with the Aorus Master, which is pretty exciting. We're going back to my roots really with the first brand that I ever built my first gaming PC with. I just need to come up with a color scheme and settle on the case. So if you guys have any suggestions at all, please do let me know down in the comment section below. If you do want to check out current pricing on anything featured, then as always, my Amazon affiliate links are listed down below. below. And while you're down there, don't forget to check out our sponsor. Introducing Lexar M.2 SSDs, the smartest way to play your games. The NM620 is a PCIe drive that offers the perfect blend of capacity, speed, and value. There are no wires to connect, simply drop it into a compatible slot, secure it in place, and you're away. If you're after the absolute cutting edge of PC performance, Lexar even has the NM800, a PCIe Generation 4 SSD with read speeds up to 7,400 megabytes a second. That is just crazy. Learn more today with that link down below. But smash that like button, get yourself subscribed, and of course get yourself ready to see the full build guide of me putting together my personal PC. Hopefully it all goes smoothly. Thank you so much for watching, I really appreciate it. I hope you can join me for the build.